Republicans in a majority of states, 38 of them, have introduced bills that would allow them to subvert local elections and national elections. This is according to a report by three nonpartisan groups that are tracking these pieces of legislation. The analysis by the state's United Democracy Center, Protect Democracy, and Law Forward found that Republicans have put forward a total of 185 bills in their state legislative sessions from January 1st through May 3rd that would increase risk of subversion by politicizing, criminalizing, or interfering with elections. So first, what do they mean by subversion? Okay. Well, they go into specifics. The analysis defined election subversion as a result of any bill that proposed one of five actions: usurping control over election results, requiring partisan or unprofessional election audits or reviews of results, seizing power over election responsibilities, creating unworkable burdens in election administration, or imposing disproportionate criminal or other penalties. So I think that's fairly clear. The authors of this analysis wrote that many of the bills introduced by, again, mainly Republicans, are designed to inject confusion and delays into the election process, which increases the likelihood of attempted subversion and can give the rise to disinformation, further erode public trust and confidence in election results. So if you thought it was bad in 2020, if a lot of these pass, and some of them have, well, then it's only going to get worse. Look, we already have about half the Republican Party thinking that the election was illegitimate. And now we have right-wing lawmakers writing laws to actually make them illegitimate. Yikes. Now, the report said that such scenarios resulting from many of the proposed laws are the most dangerous in close elections because partisan actors would be able to use them to exploit confusion over results, to claim that the true will of the voters cannot be determined, and to engineer the outcome of their choice. For example, Republican legislators in Texas proposed a bill, HB 5082, that would give state officials the authority to order new elections in counties, very specific counties, by the way, whose populations exceed 1 million people, and if there is good cause to conclude that 2% of polling places had run out of ballots and did not receive replacements. Now, that is a very specific set of circumstances in very specific places. And again, if that happens, it would allow Republicans, essentially, because that's who run Texas, to take over and just, declare that election null and void, redo it. Oh, interesting. Well then, now one of the biggest, counties impacted by this potentially would be Harris County. Harris County includes Houston. Houston is a pretty big Democrat stronghold. Now, look, not to get conspiratorial myself, all right? Because there are legitimate times, legitimate issues where you might not have enough ballots and would have to order more. And, again, that happens in times where there's unexpectedly high turnout in elections. And so, yeah, that's a legitimate issue. Having to redo an election as a result of that issue seems a little suspicious. Okay. And the other issue, again, to go into the conspiracy part of it, is, did we forget to order enough ballots? Oh, shoot. Oh, darn, I guess we're just going to have to redo this county even though it went for a Democrat. Oops. I'm not saying that that's happening. I'm just saying that the possibility of abuse through these very specific sets of circumstances where you have election deniers that are being elected to positions of power, it could happen. Not good. Not good at all. So now in Arizona, Republicans also introduced a bill, HB 2078, that would, if enacted, allow candidates, political party county chairs, and certain ballot measure state committees to request post-election investigations. That, under the law, would result in audits by the Secretary of State that could be overseen by election deniers or conspiracy theorists or whomever. right? Now, the GOP-sponsored bills in Arizona, South Carolina, and Virginia had also proposed banning the use of electronic tabulation machines. So I guess they're taking their cues from, Mike Lindell, Mike Pillow, and instituting head counts. So you might think, well, what's the issue with that? Well, the issue with that is that it takes a long time, far longer for results to come in, obviously, and is also more prone to error. You could easily miss somebody when you're trying to count one by one. I mean, the error rate is actually higher than if you were to use these machines, which again also can have errors. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis also signed a law which expanded the powers of statewide prosecutors to go after the election, so-called election fraud, by using election police. So, now we have more of a police state in Florida. And of course, people they went after, primarily Democrats, while ignoring actual sexual offenders who did vote in right-wing areas. They refused to prosecute those people, but tried to prosecute 20 others who, again, also sex offenders, but in Democratic counties, sex offenders, people who had been convicted of murder, etc., went after those for voting, even though the state had told all of them that they were eligible to vote. So they voted. And of course, people that voted in the Democratic counties ended up getting arrested. And of course, a lot of them got their cases dismissed, at least temporarily. And members in Republican red counties, places that, like the Villages, for example. Oh, no, we don't need to look into them. Oh, they didn't willfully break the law. Yeah, no problem there. No problem there. Oh, no, okay. Sure. We see what's going on. Now, according to Maya Ingram, Senior Policy Development Counsel at the United States Democracy Center, told NBC News of these, laws, quote, legislators are trying to make it harder for trusted election officials to do their jobs. By the way, many of the election officials are also Republicans. And a lot of these, again, Republicans who, for example, verified the 2020 elections, they did their jobs. They did their jobs with the way that they were supposed to do it. They verified the results. They said, well, obviously, we trust these results. We counted them ourselves. And, there were no issues here. In a lot of these places, there were no issues. There was no massive amounts of voter fraud. We couldn't find any evidence of this. But it doesn't matter. You have now a handful of conspiracy theorists who do get elected into positions of power that are now going against a lot of their own poll workers, their own election workers, in order to, I guess, prop up this fantasy that there is mass amounts of voter fraud that is going on all across the country, and that somehow it's Republicans that want Democrats to win, so they completely ignore it. It doesn't make any sense. But it doesn't have to.
Just forget about the evidence.
And that's what unfortunately a lot of them are doing. Just ignoring it. Now, let me get to the rest of this quote here. Quote, it makes it easier for partisan politicians to overturn the will of the voters. While many may think that this threat abated after the midterms, it most certainly did not. In fact, legislators are coming up with new ways to interfere with elections. That's, by the way, a charge that Donald Trump continues to make. Oh, you're interfering with my election, with our elections, in so many different ways. Lots of different ways, more ways than I could ever imagine. No, this is the interference. This is what they're doing. Putting partisan people, again, in charge of these elections that are, again, open conspiracy theorists. These laws, according to the report, are all but certain to affect voting behavior and how elections are administered in the states and others where laws have been enacted. Ingram added, the decisions that states make today will determine how elections are run in 2024. Even when these bills don't become law, they keep lies and conspiracy theories alive and sustain the election denier movement. Now, look, if you're on that side, I mean, again, you're part of a movement that appears to be openly hostile to democracy. Oh no, we got to save it by burning it down. Wait, the man leading in the polls in the Republican primary right now tried to overturn the 2020 election using, again, interference, fake electors from states, and using the specter of voter fraud. That, again, it hasn't been proven to exist. And that's what's going on here. So, and you have these attempts to codify more control over these elections by those very people who, again, deny these elections based on these conspiracy theories. Nothing good can come from this.